What's going on? Happy Red Friday to all of you. I'm sure it's been a good Red Friday for a lot of you guys. Let me just make some adjustments here. There we go. Yes, we are good now. Perfect. Let's do this. How are you guys? Happy Red Friday once again. Yeah, my voice a little raspy. Can't imagine why after a game like last night, but hey, we'll roll with it. Boy, I think a lot of people just feel pretty good about the start to the season, and it was far from perfect. Um, Look, for whatever reason, and if you've been following the Chiefs very closely during their dynasty, it's not been perfect. It just hasn't. Yet this team has been to 4 Super Bowls in the span of 5 years, and they've reached the AFC Championship game all 6 seasons with Patrick Mahomes hosting the first 5. So this is how things have gone. Whenever I tell you that they've been to the AFC Championship game every year with Mahomes, that they've been to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years, winning 3 of them, it sounds like they make it look easy, but man, it has been pretty stressful. All 3 of the Super Bowls they've won, they have trailed by 10 points at some point in all 3 of those Super Bowls, but they found a way to overcome those 3 Super Bowls and win them, being 3-1 in the Super Bowl. And listen, I'll say this because I know a lot of people love to point at that one Super Bowl loss that Mahomes has, as if Tom Brady never lost to Eli Manning twice or to Nick Foles head to head. But I think a lot of people just, if you're going to go to the championship game that many times, you're going to lose. Listen, I'm not going to put it past the Chiefs to lose another Super Bowl in the future. If they keep going to so many, it's going to happen. It just is. Tom Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls, and he's lost 3 of them. Peyton Manning went to 4 Super Bowls. He won 2, he lost 2. Mahomes already has more Super Bowl wins than him. When you look at other sports, LeBron James, I know a big deal made about him, as great as he is his NBA Finals record. Kobe Bryant has lost a couple of NBA Finals. I think the only athlete who has reached the championship game many times and never lost, off the top of my head, is Michael Jordan. In terms of, when we talk about overall greats, that's the only player I can really think of off the top of my head. So, oh man, you guys are crazy with your unlikely and toe. But hey, I'm guilty too. I've been doing that all day today. All of your references there. I love it, man. I love it. But to get into the whole situation, that whole thing with the Chiefs, they've had so many close games. And I heard Mad Dog Russo, he was on ESPN this offseason, and he said, well, I don't think the Chiefs are going to three-peat because they had so many close games in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have had a lot of very close games during their dynasty in the postseason. Off the top of my head, how many of them have been blowouts? The Miami one from last year, the Indianapolis one, which was Patrick Mahomes' first ever NFL playoff game. I mean, there have been a couple 2-possession games, but not necessarily blowouts. I guess the Texans one was a blowout, but we all know that was not easy, what they had to overcome, erasing a 24-point deficit in one quarter. Jack says Jack, brother, I love you, but talk to me, man. And listen, I don't know if you're doing a bit here or if you're really being serious, but I'm all ears for you to answer me here. Okay. You say this is getting, it's rigged, the script. So again, I don't know if you're being facetious or if you're just, trolling or what, but I'm going to take you seriously here. So I'm expecting a serious response here. If you are fully convinced that the NFL is rigged, why do you keep watching? I would never give my hard-earned dollars or give television ratings to a product that I think is rigged. That's just me. That's just me. People said this about the Patriots, and now they're saying it about the Chiefs. By the way, this is the Red Friday live chat. See a lot of you guys coming in here. Please ask whatever question you want. That is the purpose of the Red Friday live chat. That is what we do here. I just want to, before we move on, just simply say thank you guys. The social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, off the charts. Of course, with the season starting up, completely natural, but it is growing more and more every year. This off season, or I'm sorry, last offseason, we had 10,000 new followers, more than 10,000 new followers. This offseason, we had 11,000 new followers. And I don't know if you guys saw this. I feel like I just said this a few days ago. We actually surpassed 97,000 followers. We just hit 98,000 followers 2 hours ago. And it's all, the numbers are already way up there. You guys are absolutely awesome. So thank you guys. Huge thank you. By the way, also big thanks for those of you who tuned in to KCTV 5 earlier this week on Thursday morning. I was on there. They featured me, featured the Man Cave, which is pretty cool. Also asked me a couple of Chiefs questions. That was pretty cool. They actually just sent me the link. So for those of you who missed it, I'll probably share it sometime tonight. So just be on the lookout for that as we watch the Packers and the Eagles and good old Brazil. One last favor I have from you guys. There. I was typing it up because Lord knows I cannot talking right at the same time. I know I keep promoting this, but I want to keep doing that because there are a lot of new followers who are viewing my content. And Facebook is where I have the most followers. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. And we're starting to do more and more and more content on there. We're still doing content here. That's not going to change. But we're also going to be doing some on YouTube as well. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just commented with the link below. So just go to youtube.com/@theChiefsZone. Somebody was trying to look for it. They actually did not put the S at the end of Chiefs. So the Chiefs Zone. What's the under going to be on comments here from you guys? Totally okay. Teresa says, CJ says this is going to be terrific. Yes. Matthew says unlikely. Oh boy. Listen, let's just talk about that ending for a moment. Did the Chiefs get lucky? Of course they did. There's nothing wrong with being lucky. I said this last night in the podcast. I'd rather be lucky than to lose. And I still remember the Herm Edwards and the Todd Haley era where the Chiefs were just unlucky in a lot of those games, and their opponents won a lot of them. The opposing teams beat the Chiefs often. And there were some very close games where it looked like the Chiefs were going to pull off a big upset against some good teams. But no, they had luck go against them. And there's nothing wrong with that for the winning team. Listen, luck is a huge part of sports. If you're here to watch sports and you just want to sit here and expect everyone's going to be full strength and no injuries will exist and everything's going to go as planned. No, I mean, things happen. Injuries are part of sports in a very unforgiving way. And sometimes you have a ball that just bounces in a weird direction sometimes, and call it luck, call it whatever you want, but that is part of sports. And the Chiefs, as great as they are now, yeah, sometimes they do get a lucky bounce their way. That'll happen. 100% will happen. At the end of the day, you can't apologize because the Baltimore Ravens, they got there to the end and had every reason to steal that game from the Chiefs. And listen, I know a lot of people are saying the 2-point wasn't guaranteed. Lamar Jackson was getting the best of the Chiefs on the ground. So I have no doubt at all that the Chiefs were going to go out there and the Ravens are going to get the 2-point conversion. I'm fully convinced they would have done that. Because as soon as they called that touchdown in the end, I said, they got it. They have all the momentum here. The Chiefs defense completely gassed, which we'll get into the Chiefs defense. I know there was some bad, but I think that we got to give this Chiefs defense a lot of credit. Offense played great as well. We'll get into that. But when you look at what this Chiefs team did in the end there, before halftime and before the end of the game, they kept them out of the end zone. And the Ravens, in my opinion, should have scored a touchdown before halftime and should have scored a touchdown before the end of the game. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Leo Chenal batting that pass right before halftime, huge. That was, in my opinion, the difference maker of the game. Lamar Jackson missing Zay Flowers, and then he connected with Likely, but not enough to stay in bounds. Just a tiny part of it, but rules are the rules. Again, yeah, the Chiefs got lucky. That's part of sports. You know what that ending reminded me of? Reminded me of Jacksonville and Kansas City last year in week 2. You guys remember that game? If you guys haven't, go back and just look at the stats from that game. And I am just going off the top of my head here, but I believe the Jaguars were 0 for 7 in the red zone. I'm gonna pull that up just to double check. I think they were 0 for 7 in the red zone. Team stats, red zone. What's the number? Okay, they were 0 for 3 in the red zone. For some reason, I remember it as 0 for 7. There was something that was 0 for 7 in this game. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is, in that game, the Jaguars, they had a lot of passes that they completed, but players were just a step out of bounds and were unable to be awarded the touchdown because they were just not aware of their spot on the field. Now, that was not necessarily the case with Likely. You could tell Likely put a lot of effort in trying to stay in bounds, but just that tiny bit right there. And there was a caller last night, Bob, who let me know that was Nick Bolton. I did not pay attention to that at the time because I was so focused on the toe and the location. But yeah, I went back and watched it, and it was indeed Nick Bolton who just got the push. If Nick Bolton's not there to try to make a play to prevent the score, that's a touchdown right there. So Nick Bolton had a really rough game, and he's got to be much better. And I think he is going to improve. He's way better than what we saw last night. But he deserves a lot of credit for that final play right there. And listen, let me just say this about Lamar Jackson. And I know the opinions are out there about Jackson, especially those last 2 plays, missing players wide open. He is not an easy guy to prepare for. I think Michael Vick was the same way. Even when in Atlanta, I think Michael Vick in Philadelphia, a former complete quarterback, could, no shocker, Andy Reid was his head coach. But in Atlanta, you did see a more of a one-dimensional QB in Mike Vick, but he still was able to find ways to throw off defenses. And Lamar Jackson does a lot of what Mike Vick did in Atlanta. And it can be kind of hard to prepare for. But at the end of the day, this Chiefs defense, they found a way to win. And Lamar, yeah, he made some crucial errors in this game. You can never apologize for an opposing team's mistakes. If the opposing team, if they're crumbling or if they deal with injuries, you can never feel sorry for that, because if you don't take advantage of it, the next team will. Plain and simple. You can't just, bend over and say, oh, man, we feel bad. I know when I used to be the PA announcer for KU Soccer. And I remember whenever there was like an injury, the teams would intentionally kick the ball way out of bounds as like, and I can't remember the exact word for it. And I'm just like, why? Like, I mean, okay, she got hurt. That's unfortunate, but you don't just kick the ball out of bounds as like a sportsmanship type of thing. I don't know. I didn't really agree with that. I don't know if that's kind of where, I know there's a lot of talk about athletes today and, whether there's a soft mentality or what. And I don't really know what to make of that, but it's part of sports. It sucks, but you got to take advantage of that. You can't just sit there and never apologize for certain situations and how things pan out. Chiefs took advantage of Baltimore's mistakes. Baltimore, what's funny is Isaiah Likely after the game talking about how, if that's how they look, good luck in the playoffs. Dude, it's week fucking 1. If the Chiefs looked like that in week 16 or 17 trying to make the playoffs, which they kind of look like that last year, yeah, I'd be concerned. I'd be really concerned. But this is not week 16. This is not 17. This is not 18. It's week 1. And the Chiefs' offense looked better than last season. They scored 27 points. The Chiefs only surpassed the 27-point mark, 5 times last year? 5 times. And they already started the season with 27 points. The first 2 weeks, they didn't score 27 points. They scored, 21 or 20? I think it was 20 in week 1 last year. And they scored 17 against the Jaguars a week later. Then they put up 41 on the Bears in week 3. So they had to wait 3 weeks before surpassing the 27-point mark. So I feel pretty good about how the Chiefs started. Oh, by the way, Hollywood Brown didn't play. He didn't play last night. I apologize, man. My voice, I got to learn to stop shouting at the TV. 100%. So yeah, I mean, I know I spent a lot of time talking about the defense there, but as far as the offense goes, I saw some really good things. I saw some things I did not like. Had a few drops there, especially in the red zone. Like, you cannot do that. That is how you hurt yourself last year. So hopefully the Chiefs can find ways to be better about that this year. All right, I'm gonna read your guys' questions now. Mahomes likes to make it close, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, we've already seen enough. The Chiefs had they used to have the most creative ways of losing football games and blowing leads and all that crazy stuff. Now they have the most creative ways of finding ways to win. How does that happen? Your topos have made me laughing all day. Well, thank you, Lynn. I'm glad you like them. I appreciate you saying that. Been hearing all shit all day about the refs. Look, what do the refs do? And by the way, I have to resend one of the comments I made last night about Spags. So Andy Reid did call timeout. There was a ref on the far back, near the pylon behind the end zone. He noticed it first. The ref that was close to Reid did not notice it, and Spags was trying to get his attention. So NBC did not show that. Kind of like how Fox did not show the proper hold on James Bradbury in Super Bowl 57. So just be aware of that. Should have stopped listening to Farzine last week when he didn't know Kelsey has been getting the snap count drops. Sorry. Well, you're here, Michael. So glad you're tuning in. Who's your upset pick for week 1? Who do I have as an upset pick for week 1? A lot of people are kind of leaning towards the Bengals losing to the Patriots. I don't think that's happening. I know there's been a lot of drama there when T. Higgins is suddenly hurt. I'm not really putting too much into that. I mean, the Patriots are still the Patriots, so I don't think that's happening. But as far as an upset pick, gosh, I don't know. I don't really have a massive upset to start off week 1. I feel like a lot of people are high on the Falcons, and I'm not. So I did pick the Steelers in that one. Maybe that's considered an upset. I don't really know. Yeah, I'm just looking through my picks, just kind of remember all the games and who I had winning. I don't really have a major upset going into week 1. Yeah, no, not really. So I guess Steelers, Falcons, that might be the closest I have to any kind of upset. Oh, you're just mocking all the haters. Okay, cool. I apologize. Yeah, okay, all right, my bad. I was lashing out at Jack, and okay, didn't realize he was being facetious. My bad, Jack. Yeah, I mean, listen. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are saying it's rigged. Jack was just joking. But I just find it funny. Why are people watching? And by the way, I keep saying this, and there are a lot of people who respond to me and they go, "Don't you watch WWE?" Yes, WWE is not rigged, people. WWE is scripted entertainment. Paul Levesque, who essentially runs the organization now, he said so himself in a recent interview. WWE is scripted. It's not rigged. The only time it was ever rigged was the Montreal screw job in 1997. That's it. That's the only time. Other than that, it's scripted. Everybody that's involved knows what the outcome is going to be, and they agree on it before the match starts. Yeah, exactly. At least wrestling fans, they know what's going that it is entertainment. I'm disappointed with the fans in Kansas City shouting obscenities and racial slurs to the Ravens after the game. Show some respect. I'm a Hawaii fan and appalled by this behavior. I'll shout out to Hawaii. Let me just say this, because people do this all the time. There was like a wife of a Golden State Warriors player who was criticizing Boston fans for cursing, and she wrote something, "Oh, you would never hear this from Golden State fans." Shut up. Yes, you do. I will say something I've said for a long time. Every single fan base has assholes, okay? And they say things when they're, high up in the stands and a player has no access to get to that fan up there. They say a lot of shit that they would never say to their face if they were, on the same level, surface wise and everything. I remember someone was when the Marcus Peters got traded to the Rams. I think it was his first year with the Rams. Someone was shouting at Marcus Peters. I don't remember what they were saying. Marcus Peters got up from the bench, turned around, located the fan who was sitting front row, actually got up in his face, because I guess where the Rams were playing before their stadium was built, before SoFi was built, actually got face to face with him. That fan immediately, just stopped talking and sat back down. Like, this tells you what fans do. Mario, I don't disagree. I think it's unfortunate. If you think 80 or 70,000 classy people are going to Arrowhead Stadium, you're wrong. But find me a fan base that has all classy fans. I mean, they all act like idiots. Every single fan base has that. Not to say every single Chiefs fan is like that. Not to say every single Packers fan is terrible. Not to say every single Eagles fan is bad. But every single fan base has idiots. What do I think is going to happen with Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I know the Chiefs like him. I mean, they were happy to bring him back. In terms of what's going to happen with his future with the team, how is he going to perform when he comes back? I can't really say. I don't want to dismiss your question either, because I do think it's a good question. It's not something I've really put a lot of thought into. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has done good things for the Chiefs in years past, but the criticism that revolves around him so much is because he was a first-round draft pick coming off that first Super Bowl in this era with the Chiefs, and he has not lived up to those kinds of expectations. Well, now he re-signed with the Chiefs, and it's on a deal that, at this point, like, forget about the first-round draft pick status. He just hasn't lived up to it. There's a reason why the Chiefs did not go in for the option to get his fifth-year contract, understandably so, and I think he understands that. But he still chose to come back. Could he have had opportunities elsewhere? I have no idea. He was a free agent. He had opportunities to look elsewhere, but chose to come back to Kansas City on the same day that the Chiefs hosted another running back. Love the game last night, but we do need to talk about Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill. Yeah, and I mentioned this last night in the podcast after the game. Both Bolton and Tranquill, they did not look good, and they're both way better than that, in my opinion. I think they're both much better linebackers than what we saw last night. Listen, every player has a bad game, and if your bad game is in week one, yeah, there are kind of concerns like, wait, is that how you're going to look the rest of the year? I do expect Nick Bolton and Drue Tranquill to play much better, 100%. Nick Bolton, I mean, he was on ESPN's list as one of the best off-ball linebackers, and Drue Tranquill is criminally underrated, in my opinion, and I think a lot of Chiefs fans would echo the same thoughts. So I certainly hope they'll be much better about it. Let's see here. Chiefs need Luck to create history this season. Yeah, I mean, listen, Luck is always a part of sports. It always has been. I mean, find me any team in any sport, any championship season where there was a moment where they did not get lucky. There are always lucky moments. And then let's do the complete opposite of it too, the inverse, where you take every single sport, every single season of every single sport, and find the worst teams. And maybe there was a game that they were about to win, especially against a good team, and they just had luck go against them. That happens too. That's the way it all works out, man. It was not the best game either they played yesterday, but glad they won. Yeah, that's you definitely feel good about that. And I said this last night too. My problem with the Chiefs, and specifically with Andy Reid, is that my biggest criticism of Andy Reid, and I've had this for a very long time. I think he's gotten a little better about it, but it kind of came back last night. This Chiefs team does not do a good job of closing games when they should. There's a strong argument to be made. The Chiefs could have put that team away at some point midway through the fourth quarter. I had a friend of mine who's a huge Arizona Cardinals fan, Eddie Law. He's on some podcasts with me. He texted me. He said, "This game's over. I'm turning it off." I'm like, dude, you better turn this game back on at the 2-minute warning. So, yeah. Yeah, Jeff, we went over this last night. Leo Chenal was awesome. I've been talking about Leo Chenal all off season. I've been really excited for this kid ever since they drafted him. I think it was out of Wisconsin. This dude can play. He really can. And I've said this about him, just watching some of his tape from last year and also in college. This is a guy that I think can be like an edge rusher or a 3-4 outside linebacker if he wanted to. Because he does a really good job of going after the quarterback. And I thought he did some good things in this game. And again, whenever the Ravens got to the red zone, he was a huge reason why the Ravens were unable to get touchdowns in those red zone situations before halftime and before the end of the game. When he was out there before halftime, got that pass that he batted away. And then there were a few other, especially at the end of the game, where he was just keeping a very close eye on Lamar Jackson, not letting him go off for a big play. So I thought he did a really good job, just not letting that happen. I'm still not over that final play, man. That is what's like the closest we've seen to that. I think do you guys, what year was it? 2003 when the Chiefs started 9-0. Because I remember the Raiders rallying against the Chiefs. They were down by 1 touchdown, and they completed a pass at the 1-yard line, and the defense quickly swarmed in on the ball carrier, on the receiver, and they brought him down at the 1, and that ended up being the final play of the game. And that was in Oakland. That is like the closest I can even compare to last night. What would you guys say was like the closest to last night's game in terms of like Chiefs history? Because I have to go back to 2003 to think about that. Again, that's just off the top of my head there. JR Nerd Life from YouTube says defense held a great offense to 20 points. That's not a bad game at all. Look, I know the Ravens went through a lot of turnover this offseason, but this is a team that destroyed a bunch of other teams last year. They beat up on the Dolphins. They beat up on the 49ers. And there were a lot of people that thought the Ravens were going to just go and cruise to the Super Bowl. They got the best of Houston. They bested Houston, I should say, in that playoff game. And then Houston had a really good season too. I know, they had a lot of young and experienced guys, so maybe that had an impact on the postseason game. But still, they looked really good all year long, and Baltimore was able to silence them in the playoffs. But then they met Kansas City, and they ran into the best team in the NFL. They ran into Patrick Mahomes. They ran into Spags' defense. And you saw it last night again. Yes, obviously last night was you saw more scoring compared to the AFC title game. But again, who came out on top in this one? Kansas City, plain and simple. And I love how people are like, oh, Mahomes got lucky because of the ending. It's like, look, I still remember Sunday Night Football week 2. The only game in 2021, the only time the Ravens with Lamar Jackson beat Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which, we talked about him already. That fumble right there. Chiefs were already on their way to setting up the game-winning field goal. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he fumbled there. So We can always go with what ifs and lucky moments and here and there, but that's, what happened in these games. We can't really go over hypotheticals. Oh, well, if this person didn't fumble and if this person kept his toe in bounds, well, shit, man. If you're on hot balls, should be your uncle. For everything awesome we saw last night on offense, remember, Kelce, Hardman, Juju, and Hollywood were basically irrelevant if they were going to leave Noah Gray wide open 15 yards in the middle of the field. Who cares? Yeah. And Noah Gray and it was kind of a weird night for tight ends where Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce were quiet. Meanwhile, their backups, Isaiah Likely and Noah Gray, statistically were the better tight ends. I know Noah Gray was not that much better than Travis Kelce, but still, by Noah Gray standard, he had a good game considering that he's a backup tight end. Isaiah Likely, I was not shocked by Isaiah Likely at all. I said in Wednesday's podcast Tuesday's podcast. Traditionally, we do it Wednesday. But on Tuesday's podcast, I said Isaiah Likely is going to be a key player for the Ravens in this game, and I think that proved to be right, of course. But you mentioned Kelce. He had a quiet game. Hardman and Juju, I think those guys are going to be more depth players than anything else, but they know the offense. They've been around it before. Juju was good a couple of years ago when he was in Kansas City, had 930 some yards. Hardman has been around for a while. I know his progress in the NFL has been slower than ideal, but still is familiar with what Patrick Mahomes wants. And whenever he has the football, he can definitely do some damage to a defense. So, and again, Kelce, I don't think Kelce's going to consistently have games like that. I know he didn't have the best year last year, but all things considered, that dude fought through multiple injuries and still was one of the better tight ends last season. And he stepped up in the playoffs. His postseason, pretty damn good last year, considering the guy was supposedly washed up and more focused on his relationship than football. So, you guys tell me. And yeah, you mentioned Hollywood. Wait till Hollywood comes back. You've got Rice, Worthy, and Hollywood, and Kelce, and Pacheco. It's going to be better. I know Pacheco hasn't really played well the last few games, looking at the playoffs and then this game as well, statistically, but hopefully that changes because I do think Pacheco is better than what we've seen from him statistically the last few games. Rashee Rice was so good for the Ravens defense. Yeah, the Ravens had no answer for him. And there's one clip I shared on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, where Rice just completely made Roquan Smith look like a fool. I mentioned this before. Rashee Rice knows how to create separation from defenders. He knows how to trick a defender and get open and make a play. He's not the fastest guy. He did look faster in last night's game than any of the games I saw him in last year. And I know he's been putting in work with Hollywood Brown. He and Hollywood Brown have been training together a lot this offseason. So I don't think we got a chance to see Rashee Rice showcase this new speed of his, but from the little amount that we saw, we were able to see him in the open field. Yeah, he got open a couple of times and was able to make the Ravens defense look slow. Again, I'm not comparing that to Xavier Worthy's speed. Xavier Worthy made the Ravens offense look like they were or Ravens defense rather, look like they were in slow motion. So just wait till we get Hollywood back. I'm excited to see how all three of those guys do together with Kelce. That is going to be a fun offense to watch. That 11 personnel. Luck equals Mahomes out jumping. Yes, two Ravens defenders catch his own tip pass. Yes, because if that's intercepted, they get to start at that spot right there, and they essentially have the 2-minute warning as a timeout. So, I don't want to know what that scenario would have looked like. Yeah, listen, I think these Chiefs linebackers like Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, Leo Chenal. Now, specifically last night, Chenal did a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Tranquill and Bolton did a lot of things last year. Bolton's been doing this for a few years in Kansas City, where they do a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. And look, whenever people vote for Pro Bowls and all that stuff, a lot of them just look at the stats. And the Chiefs linebackers, they don't have a lot of exciting stats. They just don't. Their roles are not going to translate into exciting statistics. Just not the case. Roquan Smith pushing Mahomes while he was out of bounds seemed more personal than anything. Yeah, and then he's all mad because Peyton Hendershot got in his face and pushed him. It's like, dude, get over yourself. You pushed the guy out of bounds. You made him fall down. And people are saying he flopped. How did that look like a flop? I know what a flop looks like. Okay, that was not a flop. I mean, the dude got hit out of bounds. Lamar is going to get hurt taking hits like that. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Chiefs are a physical defense. And then he leaned in with his head at one point. That's a great way to get a concussion. As if, there's not enough talk about concussions in this sport. But hey, what do I know? Did I hear the commentary team say that this season on pass defense are allowed to force the receiver out of bounds without the penalty? I don't recall that, JR. I'll be honest, I don't. I do remember there was a game where the Packers, I think, they needed help from a really terrible team to beat the Vikings so they could make the playoffs. And I think there was a defender that did something like that. They pushed the receiver out of bounds to not let him. I don't recall that exact moment, but yeah. I did not hear that, JR. I would have to go back and look. Kudos to Worthy, Rice, and Pacheco. The defense was very good as well. Yeah, the defense, they've got to be better. But understand something: the Ravens ran 24 more plays than the Chiefs. They had the ball for more than 7 minutes more than the Chiefs. 7 minutes and 26 seconds more than the Chiefs, and they outgained the Chiefs by 99 yards. I know a lot of people talk about the turnover battle. That that's a pretty good way to dictate a football game, especially if one team has 2, 3, 4 more turnovers than the other team. That can decide a football game. But I think one underrated stat is the amount of plays you run and time of possession. Especially people talk about how it's hard to play defense in the NFL today and how a lot of the rules help quarterbacks and offensive players in general. Yeah, but when an offensive team, when a team runs 24 more plays, that defense is gassed. The Chiefs defense was tired, and they can claim that they were not. They look tired. I can read body language, and so can all of you guys. So, the fact that the Chiefs were able to stand strong in the red zone before halftime and the end of the game, huge. That was the difference maker. The defensive red zone stands. That was the big difference maker, in my opinion. And again, look, Lamar Jackson's not an easy quarterback to defend. I'm not here to say he's elite. I know he's got 2 MVPs, but I still don't know if I would want that guy. If I had to rank the top 5 quarterbacks, I don't know if I'm putting Lamar Jackson that high. I'm just not. I would gladly take Mahomes, Burrow, Stafford, Goff, Josh Allen, a couple of other quarterbacks I can't think of right now. I mean, I would take those guys before I take Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Lamar Jackson can do some nice things, but come playoff time, or against top tier teams, he just doesn't deliver more times than not. Okay, I know they beat up on the 49ers, but they've lost to the Chiefs 2 games in a row now. He loses composure after getting sacked. Well, he didn't get sacked much last night. That's the crazy thing. He got pressured a lot, and he was able to make plays with his feet. I thought he looked really good when it came to running against the Chiefs, and to my surprise, too. Derrick Henry did not have the best game. Not his first time struggling against the Chiefs. We all remember that AFC title game. But I just feel like, you're not a complete quarterback. And in that interview with the Washington Post, basically showing weakness about his ability to pass. Rice and Worthy smacking the field good. Yeah, I love that, Jay. That was fun to watch. Chopped off my big toe before tonight's game. I don't want to cost my team the game. Let me pull up Peacock. And by the way, Peacock, damn you for raising the prices. Oh, one other thing. The Eagles booed in Brazil. Okay, I didn't realize Sao Paulo was Green Bay territory. That's cool. I don't know if you guys heard. There was a record broken last night. Last night's game, 28.9 million viewers, the most viewers for a season opener. But supposedly everyone was boycotting because they think it's rigged. Let me just pull up Peacock and have it on the side here. We're going to be wrapping up fairly soon. I'm going to try to blaze through the comments because my voice ain't the best right now, guys. Where is Peacock on my phone? Why do I not have it? I know it's somewhere. There it is. Oh, okay. Of course, Peacock does not want to work. There we go. Okay, we do not want that volume. We do not want to get hit with the who's announcing this game? Okay, I muted myself so I can just hear who it was. I don't recognize the voice. But yeah. Didn't Jackson miss someone wide open last year too? I don't recall that. I love the NFL's picture when they were like, this is the best picture we could get of him. Yeah, of course. Better start than last year. For sure. Obviously started 0-1 last year. Now you turn the tables and you're 1-0 this year. So, and by the way, I love when people were like, oh, they were 0-1 last year, so they could be 0-1 again. Okay, well, by that logic, you're gonna win the Super Bowl again, I guess. Yeah, that was kind of weird. But I guess because he was out of bounds, like in the corner, I guess that they were able to be lenient with that. I didn't. Apparently, if it happened again, according to Terry McCullen, their rules expert, if that were to happen again, it'd be a 5-yard penalty. I thought it was a 10-second runoff, but maybe they changed that at some point. I'd rather it be a 10-second runoff because if that was a 10-second runoff, the game would be over at that point. Oh yeah, it's always fun to seeing other people complain when the Chiefs lose. It's a joy to watch. Listen, man, I still remember those years. Like if you guys told me 15, 10 or 20 years ago, hey, this is how people would react to the Chiefs, I'd be like, no way. The Chiefs of all teams, Worthy's going to be an issue for teams. He was open quite a bit and love it. Yeah, I think Chris Collinsworth mentioned this. I don't think they showed the replay on it. I'm waiting for the all 22 to come out, but Mahomes missed him very early in the game. So, and hopefully Mahomes can do less of that. Every great quarterback will miss open receivers. I mean, every quarterback will, regardless how good or how bad you are. Oh, touchdown Packers. There's a flag and they're dancing. So I guess they're good. I don't know. Yeah, they're celebrating and dancing. So I think they're good. But yeah, hopefully, he's going to have a lot of guys that can burn a lot of these defensive backs. Rashee Rice, off to a good start. Hopefully he can be better about it. With the receivers, Hollywood coming back hopefully soon. Worthy, it's just going to be fun to watch. And hopefully he can hit those guys whenever they get open. Oh, it's on the offense. Whoa. Okay, they're repeating it. Offsetting penalties. Okay. So they did all that celebrating just to later learn that they both committed penalties. Okay, great. How better? Okay, this is a really good question from Teresa. How can I better understand the illegal formation calls? I'm not an expert on this either, so forgive me with this, but it's the way they line up. And here's the thing, too. I'm listening to Pat Kerwin, who is a very knowledgeable guy when it comes to football. But Let me just see this third down play. Oh, going down the field again. Oh, that no call. Okay. Look, let's go to Jawan Taylor, because Jawan Taylor was getting killed by the refs for his movement, illegal formation, and false starts. But Lane Johnson does the exact same thing. In fact, Jawan Taylor, last year, it was made a big deal of in week 1, and the ref started throwing all the penalties at him all of a sudden. Jawan Taylor was doing the exact same thing in the preseason, and nobody said a word about it during the preseason. I know people don't pay close attention to the preseason like they do the regular season. But in Jacksonville made the playoffs, so it's not like, nobody paid attention to Jacksonville. Jawan Taylor was doing the same thing in Jacksonville. I mean, it's not like, they have not done that before. So the way they just started picking on him was weird. And now you saw them make an example of the Ravens last night. Now, Jawan Taylor, that they replayed, where they thought Taylor jumped the snap, but he timed it perfectly. Excuse me. But if you do read lips, you did see Harbaugh complain and say they're not calling it both ways. Well, cry me a river. Jawan Taylor, again, he got picked on by the refs. And in that Chicago Bears game last year, they took Jawan Taylor out and they put a backup right tackle in, Prince Tega Wanagu, and they told him to do the exact same thing as Jawan Taylor, and he did, but he wasn't picked on. So, is there inconsistency with the officiating in the NFL? Yes, I've been saying that for a long time. Welcome to the NFL, folks. Referees are very inconsistent. They're bad. It's been a thing for a long time, way before Mahomes. I know people think that Mahomes are... Oh, did they both have 12 men on the field at the same time? And they're going for it on fourth down? That is hilarious. Both teams had 12 players on the field at the same time on a touchdown play. That is hilarious. I've never seen that before. The confidence is there. I do agree, CJ. I do think Mahomes does look a little more confident. He looked a little frustrated at times, and I'm not sure why. But I think, look, this is a fairly new look on offense. You have a rookie left tackle. You have a rookie receiver. Hollywood's been getting acclimated with this offense. He's been spending a lot of time getting a lot of the starting reps. So you've had someone had to fill in for his role. And when he comes back, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment there too as well. But I think it's only going to get better. Again, it's week 1. Isaiah Likely apparently thinks that the Chiefs are not going to improve at all. Okay. All right, buddy. Focus on your team missing wide open players in the end zone and keeping your own goddamn toe in bounds. Using Worthy on the run is G. Oh, yeah. And they're going to do it again. Jet sweep. I know a jet sweep is statistically a pass, but that's okay. There's a lot of running involved in that. So, yeah, we're going to see a lot of that for sure, Teresa. I agree. Okay, I'm going to read a couple more comments and get out of here. Logan says, I miss how dominant our defense was. Gay and Snead were 2 huge losses. I hope they can repeat, but it'll be hard. And again, keep in mind, preparing for a triple threat quarterback like Lamar Jackson is never easy. I'm not saying preparing for Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are easier, but you don't have to worry about as many things with them as you have to do with a guy like Lamar Jackson. So hopefully that makes sense. And I think they'll be better about it as the season goes along. Like in boxing, don't let it go to the judges. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I'm not a big boxing guy. I'm a UFC guy, but same concept right there, John. Yeah, 100%. Someone called into the podcast last year. I think it was Daniel who said that, look, if you do not want the referees to have an impact on a game, well, then do enough to prevent that from happening. And I agree. That's why I get so stressed when the Chiefs let these games be so close. Well, it's like, okay, if there's a call in the end that you don't like, then it's going to have an impact. And I'm not one to complain about the refs. You guys know me. I'll call out bad officiating, but I'll never say that it was the reason a team won or lost. Never. So hopefully they can be better about that. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know what was up with that, Charlene. People thought I was live at 3 a.m. So for those who don't know what's going on, I did a live stream last night after the game. I think I got done around midnight. I can't remember. And for whatever reason, even though I ended the stream and I even like came back to my computer, I'm like, why am I still live? Because it showed that I'm live. That little circle on my profile picture, it showed that I'm live. And you would click it and they would show last night's live stream. And I thought that was like on my end. And I started asking you guys, I'm like, am I live allegedly? So that was weird. That was really weird. But yes, I am live right now. Yeah, breaking records, man. The Chiefs have been breaking a lot of ratings records. And by the way, people who want to say, oh, Taylor Swift, yes, she has helped add on to these ratings, but Super Bowl 57 was the most watched Super Bowl at the time. That was before Taylor Swift's relationship with Travis Kelce. So the Chiefs have been getting a lot of these ratings before Taylor Swift came into the picture here. So the next time someone tells you it's because of Taylor Swift, well, let them know the Chiefs have been involved in a lot of these big, highly viewed games before Taylor Swift. None of them think it's rigged. They're just complaining. Yeah, I agree, Austin. I do think it's funny to call them out on it. Can you imagine being an upcoming defensive coordinator watching our film from last night? I said the same thing in the offseason. I'm sure you've heard me say this, Dan. Good luck. You know, and you have to study a lot of things. Go look at Xavier Worthy's film from Texas. Go look at Hollywood Brown from his time in Baltimore and in San Francisco. Look at Rashee Rice, what he did last year. I mean, you have to spend a lot of time looking at a lot of different tape from some of these receivers here, and they're all going to be coming together. So good luck. You better have all pros at all of the defensive back positions there. Likely apparently was 10 toes down on his statement. I like that. That's a low-key funny one. I like that. Players in San Paulo were not allowed to leave hotel and families told not to come. Dangerous. See, this is my thing. Now, Mexico City is one that I'm very surprised about. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think family members flew out for that Mexico game because the one against the Chargers for similar reasons. Yeah, I mean, I would not want my family to come either. When these players are there, I mean, they're protected very well. They've got security with them, but they're not going to spend time, providing security for the family members. That's going to be way too many resources there. So, yeah, the best thing is as much as some of these family members love to travel, they're just going to have to, stay home and just come to the next game instead. Okay, I have not paid attention. Oh, the Packers got a pick? Okay. Listen, I like Jalen Hurts. I like the Eagles, but they just fell apart in the second half last year, and I kind of wonder if that's going to be if that's going to carry over to this year. I'm really curious to see what happens. Okay, I'm out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys joining me. My name is Farzan Vasuga, and thank you for watching this episode of the Red Friday live chat. I am out. Peace. Enjoy your Friday.